Graham, because next year we go to a slightly modified format of the averages.
Well, waiting for final confirmation of it, but we believe what's going to happen is it's going to be a single lap average between the two drivers, do we not?
1 lap each driver, correct.
So it's going to be an average of 2 rather than an average of 4.
Pedro Lamy there.
Down into the F Corsa garage. What fantastic supporters they've been this year.
Yeah.
Again, there's Emerson Fittipaldi. He'll be in the number 61.
He was about a couple of seconds off the pro drivers. Remember, he's only a bronze driver now, he's aged, and he hasn't raced since 2008. But he was around about 2 seconds off. Not bad.
Not bad. There, Jeff Siegel, who's one of his co-drivers in the 61 car.
He was a little bit... yes, we've got the Brazilian stripes on that orange car. That's the one that Emerson's in, of course, with the yellow and green. He was a little bit off the money in terms of consistency.
In more ways than one, but let's leave that for another day, shall we? But yeah, I think it's tricky to get yourself dialed in. He has been doing some testing here. He knows obviously this circuit probably better than
anybody. Tried an Aston Martin here, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago?
Porsche as well, a Cup class car and GT3 car. He's been taking some lap around here. But I was down in the garage. See Darren Turner and David Heidmar Hansen there at AMR World. But down in the garage as he was getting to grips with the various systems of the Ferrari, and it's a big ask for someone to come in and sit and be quick in these things. Darren and his teammate, of course, Stefan Mucker, will be very keen indeed to get a win on the board. They've come so close, and as we found out post Bahrain, lost out by just a couple of seconds, but that was more than eaten up by having to replace the tailgates, and that took them 5 seconds longer because they were carrying a camera.
While we're talking about Brazilian heroes, as we were with Fernando Reis, Emerson Fittipaldi and Pedro Lamy here, most of South America, and particularly Brazil, in mourning at the moment for Roberto Gomes Bolanos, the man they called Chespirito, nickname based on his massive amount of TV output, Shakespeare-like. El Chavo del Ocho was the television programme, and he also created the Crimson Grasshopper as well, El Chapulín Colorado, and he died yesterday, and a lot of people tweeting and mentioning that it was a massive part of their growing up years, and down here just as big as any of the children's stars as anywhere else in the world, and as I said, massive star, and Azteca Stadium, I think, is going to have a memorial service.
It's worth saying, John. I mean, you know, he is one of those personalities that just transcends just a kind of regional culture and a continental culture. Anybody familiar with The Simpsons will know the Bumblebee Man character there. That was inspired very much by our dear departed friend.
Yeah. And there's Fred McAveiky in the Porsche.
And Fred, of course, has been out testing the LMP1 car very recently, and we've heard already that Nico Hulkenberg...
outing, if nothing changed, just take your time to do a good lap. It's okay to do a cool-down lap and try again. Okay.
That was Monty?
Yes.
It's okay to do a cool-down lap and try again, Fred was being told there, because we're going to have, I think, a pretty hotly contested GTE qualifying session here. The Porsches have been proportionally quicker. They seem to like the grip here, don't they? The Ferraris perhaps struggling a little more, but it's been very much the Aston Martins to the fore again. And interesting stuff in the point standings. Of course, and Jimmy Bruni and Tony Verlander have clinched the teams and the drivers' titles respectively, but the manufacturer's title, and that is all important for these guys, is still up for grabs, albeit with AF Corsa very much to the fore. But I think, as we discussed, John, on Midweek Motorsports, depending on what happens in qualifying, could settle something here. A slightly freak result with a 1-2 for Porsche could see them, if the AF Corsa cars falter, nicking this. And if there's going to be a place where it could happen, we look at Jörg Bergmeister will be amongst that.
It's going to be here.
It'll be here. We don't yet know about weather for tomorrow.
Well, the weather forecast is pretty good, and the rain was forecast for today. It rained overnight, and there was a few spots of rain this morning when we were heading into the circuit. Free practice 3 was largely dry, produced those phenomenal times that Graham was talking about earlier on. confirmation that we will have Porsche back next year, given to us unofficially at least. We haven't had the press release. But
it's Porsche GT, of course.
Porsche GT, yes.
We will be seeing, of course, the LMP cars back, and that will be 3 cars for Spa and Le Mans. Nico Hulkenberg.
Have we got to the bottom of whether it's 3 Nissans for Spa and Le Mans as
certainly
well?
for Le Mans, and you would guess for Spa as well, but certainly for Le Mans. We've certainly seen mention of 3, and mention 2 that they're looking to announce, we would guess, pretty soon now, the first of a roster of 10 factory drivers for that Nissan LMP1 that, of course, has been having its shakedown test lately.
Yes, by a driver who is here.
I'm looking at John, because that wasn't what I thought.
All right.
But other than that, I've not seen the driver. But look there at 3 of the Aston Martins. The third of which you'll see those broad black stripes on the roof of, and they've been testing, in reality, testing with the system linked up in free practice, the solar panels on the top of the 97 car this weekend. Stefan Bucher there is suiting up and getting ready to go. It will be Stefan first in the number 97 car by the look of things.
Yeah, there he is, putting his helmet on.
They've been stars this year. They've had very little of the look of the good variety, but plenty of pace.
They've had no look at the good variety, have they? Not sure who they upset or whether they broke a mirror by throwing a cat at it while passing under a ladder.
Tripped over a cat and headbutted the mirror, I think, is what I'd heard.
While stepping on a crack in the pavement.
Plenty of fan interest here, of course.
Yeah, today we had the now mandatory session of autographs in the pit lane, and the public came out in force. Have a look at the cars, grab a few pictures. Full autograph session tomorrow before the race, of course. But more than the odd one or two of the drivers were standing there. Fernando Reis, subject of much local interest, as you might imagine.
And the school kids here as well. We've seen this at a number of the race meetings this week, this year rather, John. It's been great to see that. And there's some Toyota fans there, and I'm sure they'll be following the fortunes of the new Drivers' World Champions, of course. But Toyota again looking to secure a clean sweep.
And we'll talk about the prototypes in a little while, but the green flag is off, and the 25 minutes, which gives plenty of time, even for the GT cars, to do some extra laps over and above the out 2 timed laps and an in lap for each of the drivers they require to get themselves on the timing, on the top of the timing screens. Straight out of the pit lane.
That's number 95, John.
Heading down. What we won't be able to tell you, I'm afraid, is who is driving these cars, because we don't have that information with us in the booth. So it's going to be, until we see it on the screen, it's going to be as much of a mystery to us as it is anybody else. Nicky Team is behind the wheel of this one. Thank you, Fred. And there is the confirmation. As he heads around this circuit. Once you get down to turn 4, everything happens very, very quickly on this track until you come round to the start-finish line again. And this billiard table smooth surface, which is really impressive. It is definitely a circuit where you can attack the corners. Coming out now to and heading up the hill now, we are seeing far more of the undulations of this track than I think we've seen on coverage of other series in the past. This is very, very good indeed. As I say, I was lucky enough to be in a car driving around yesterday, day before, and just watch the Aston as Nicky comes down, brakes and turns into turn 1. There's his teammates.
And I think with those positions, John, when we get to the heats of qualifying, and certainly in the race, you're going to really see some of the physics involved here come into play. The change in direction of these things is almost magical.
That was Fred Makovici, so it wasn't him in the car early on. I apologise, of course. It was Jörg Bergmeister in the 91 we were looking at with
Patrick Pilet will be in the 92.
Yeah. As they head out.
This is going to get very busy. 13 GT cars out there, 6 in GT Pro, 7 in GTM, and the lap times certainly in the early running, John, will be pretty quick from both.
Fernando Reis in the 99, James Collado in the 71, Patrick Pilet in the 92, Klaus Bachler in the 88, Vaxivier in the 75 and Pedro Lamy in the 98. Those are your starting drivers. Thanks to Paul Trustwell for firing those through to us. Bergmeister we've just seen. So on board there with the 92, Patrick Pile. As we just wait for our pictures to settle for a moment. He's heading up through turn 6 into 7. And that is uber quick there. You'll see a number of places where the curbs are not the pristine yellow, green and white, but are very, very black. They are flat curbs for the most part, and you can use some of them. And interestingly, you don't always use them in the places through the corner that you might expect. Down through the centre S's, take the curb early there on driver's right hand side and run all the way out to the left through turn 3. Driver's right here, new pit lane being constructed. These pits that we're using this weekend due to be torn down after this race, although we're hearing that there's potentially some planning issues that will stop them doing that, which will put the Formula 1 race next year back into the old pits and not into the new facility as planned. Wait for some confirmation on that, but that's just coming through as the black on the curves that we were just talking about, and you can see how flat the early part of those curves are. What you don't want to do is go over the far side. Graham?
130.119 the first time on the board. That was from Nicky Team, of course, in the 95 Aston Martin, the GTM leading car. We'll try and keep you up to date with these as they come through.
Paolo Roberti in the 90 Ferrari and Perguidi in the 61. So here is the Aston. Again, clipping the inside curb. This is towards the end of the lap. Almost all four wheels off the grass on the right-hand side. And now it's this long... It's so quick here. And you really have to get the line right through the next corner where the entrance to the pit lane is. Right on the left-hand white line. The drivers have been warned about cutting the pit lane, both coming in and going out. And Aston number 95 then goes across the line. Nicky Team. Looks like a decent run for Patrick Pile in the 92 there with a purple sector. Fernando Risa 130.4.
And it's another 130.1 for Nicky Team, heading up the GTM class, so his average is going to be around that 130. It is indeed 130.121. That's some time already for Nicky Team. That is GT1 sort of pace from not so very long ago, John.
2007, when the Corvettes, the Alphond Corvettes were here.
129.2 for the Corvette, so less than a second quicker in a much, much more powerful car.
Well, in a prototype car, effectively, those cars were GT1s. There's not very much of the original car left, was there? Here is the Porsche into the braking area. Watch the front end dip down there. Wow! Hard on the brakes. This is a brutal circuit. And the corners that you think are going to be fast and flowing, you really have to jump on the middle pedal. Coming up the hill now, through turn 7, take the right-hand side there. And now into this long right-hander. Very highly banked there, as you can see. We lose sight of the bottom of the Porsche through there, through this serpentine section. This is where it all has to run together. Graham?
And at the moment it is that GTM Aston Martin that's leading the way overall in GTE. The GTE Pro cars behind, beginning to kind of get a bit of bunch up, but it's an under 99 Aston Martin, Fernando Reis, local boy.
But it's going to be Pile. Pile is going to come through. He's up by half a tenth at the moment, and as he comes across the line, how long will they let them go? Stefan Mucker's gone out in the 97 Aston, Jimmy Bruni in the 51, and remember, this point for pole position could be crucial for the Manufacturers' Championship.
Absolutely, great stuff. He's not done quite enough, I don't think, Sean. We're waiting for that time to come through. Yeah, of course.
No, it is 130.1 for the Manthey car.
That's not going to be enough to get ahead of either the Aston Martins at the moment. 95 from 99, and then 92 is the overall order.
Fastest lap.
Is doing very good stuff here. Reminding people
99.
The 92 has gone ahead of the 99, so 92 ahead of 99 now, courtesy of that 130.242 and a 130.154. But now the 99 goes quicker again, and actually will go overall pole for the GTE. And there we've got the two cars on track together. The 99 car down to an average now of almost 130 dead, John. 130.003.
Magic stuff.
That was a lap under 1:30 from Fernando Reis.
And remember, 2 laps from each of the drivers, 1 set of tyres. Here's the number 98 Aston Martin now. Pedro Lamy. You're thinking about coming in. Oh, sorry, that's the 99 again now.
That will be Fernando Reis, and we'd expect to see Fernando back in pretty soon.
I wonder if he might do one more. Quick sector there for the 98 car.
Pedro Lamy, I think we expect to see back next year. I'm hearing news of potential replacement for Christopher Nygaard, who, because of his change in driver ranking, will have to step away from that car. And we'll see whether or not we can bring you confirmation of that.
However, we do know there'll be another GT driver who's currently a P2 driver. He'll be stepping down. We'll talk about that when we get the prototype qualifying. Lots of news coming out of the paddock here at Sao Paulo at Interlagos.
97 now. It is all Aston Martin at the moment, isn't it? David Heimer Hansen, by the way, is climbing aboard the 95.
And they're the spoilers, aren't they, for this Manufacturers' Championship?
They can make all the difference here. What they need, they want, of course, a race win. If they win, at this point, as John said earlier in the broadcast, is going to be very important indeed for Porsche.
Heimer Hansen's in the 95 now. And the 1:30.003 for the 99 car is, in fact, the first of the 3-lap averages.
Okay, Aston Martin's now the second car under 1:30. It's the number 99 car. 97 goes second quickest, though, with Stefan Mucker at the wheel. So Fernando Reis leads the order at the moment. An average of 1:29.993.
Well, yeah, 993. It's got to be. It was a Porsche. Pat Pele comes into the pits. Bachler has handed over to Christian Reid and the 88 Porsche. There is the 61 Ferrari, the orange car with the Brazilian stripe down, one right over it, in fact.
Alessandro Pegguidi is the first driver for this car.
Mucker has now done a 1:29.887. And that is the fastest lap of the session, but it doesn't help, of course, if you can't back it up.
He is a princely 100th of a second on average. That's the number 99 car pits now, away from the leader, which is the sister 99 car. So we're sticking with, on track, the orange, green and yellow 61 Ferrari 458. This is the 8-star motorsports entry, as entered under the 8-star banner, courtesy of Enzo Potlicchio, who was with the car. Was it just for the first race? Did we see Enzo at Spa? But after that, stepped away from the car, and it's been. It's not the 8-star motorsport car, is it? Of course, it's 61 again.
Yeah, come on.
Wrong-footed.
You did that yesterday when you were looking at the times.
This is now an AF Corsa car, an older chassis.
1:29.858 for Mucker. Fred Mack goes out in the 92 car.
And goes to provisional pole position, the number 97 car. Average of under 1:29.9 now. Great guns.
That's impressive, that you. That's impressive. You're talking about an average lap time that is less than a second away from the old GT1 fastest lap of a race.
And a full second quicker than Jimmy Bruni's managed so far on his 2 lap average. The Ferraris do seem to be struggling a little here, John, at the moment.
And this is setting up, isn't it? Just a magnificent opportunity for Porsche to sneak in and try and snatch this Manufacturers' Championship at the very, very last. Let's keep an eye on this Ferrari then as it comes through.
That's the 81 car.
And it's climbing the hill now. We'll cut across to driver's left. Got to be careful not to go too far into the cross-hatching. All of the race officials are watching that. It's quite a steep climb, though.
Andrea Bertolini aboard the number 81 car.
And don't forget, we're quite high. Oh, a little bit of a lock-up on the left front there. We're quite high up. So the 4th position car there, we're watching just locking up that left front. Quite high up in terms of altitude here, and none of the GTE cars, of course, have the advantage of having a turbocharger. I suppose it means that they all are equally disadvantaged.
Indeed, watch the 81 car there with the Pro Speed car emerging from the pits, and the other privateer car, the Proton version of the car, and it'll be Patrick Dempsey joining this team next year for the WEC.
There was a rumour that Patrick was here this weekend, but
which I don't think.
No, I don't think
correct.
it was true. So on board then with Jimmy Bruni now. Look at the kilometre speed and look how much he's on the throttle here as he comes up to the middle part of the circuit. All of the curb and a bit more there as he comes through 10 and 11. Oh, sorry, that's a little bit further back around the lap. My apologies. There's two horseshoes that look very similar when you're scrambling for your life inside the car. Now he comes round to the last third of the track. He's got to get the car hauled over to the right before he commits left-handed. This is viciously downhill and off camber right on the exit before he commits. And this is so tight. You heard him go down the gears there, back all the way down to third. It looks quick when you see the prototypes round here, but in a GT car, which has less downforce, you really are working hard through 4 and also through 6, 7 and 8, and there at the end of the lap as well through 14 and 15, well, 13 and 14 I guess that was that.
Stefan Mucker there looking quite pleased with his efforts as well, he might.
Darren Turner is in the car then. Daryl O'Young in for Fernando Reis in the 99. Ricard Leitz has taken over from Bergmeister, and Roberti has handed over to Cressoni in the 90 car. So here is the 95. Hennemeyer Hansen was revelling in the grip yesterday, coming through the centre S's, first part of the lap through turn 3. He's not leaning on it too much there, as he didn't use all of the exits as he comes down the straight.
And he's doing some decent lap times here, John. 130.
Watch the front end of this car dip as he turns in there, just over that bump. This is turn 4, drop down the hill. Easy to get over-committed there. Just looking to see, turns into 5. And now we flash further round the lap to Jimmy Bruni. That screaming Ferrari V8 is a joy, isn't it? End of the lap then for Jimmy Bruni. He's got his teammate ahead of him. Not too much on the left-hand side. He's not close enough to get a tour there, but he's not that far away. Now, down into the centre S's. Easy to turn in too early. Look, he's staying away from the curb. Ride the curb on the right-hand side. There's a dip there, and you can almost hook your right-hand wheels into it. Up through the gearbox. Hard on the throttle here. That's absolutely flat through turn number 3. And out on the straight to go down towards turn 4. End of the lap for the 95. Looks like he's coming in. He is.
That is 4 laps completed for the 95 car. That is a 4-lap average of 1:30.493 for Nicky Thiem and David Heinemeier Hansen. That's pretty good going. Just
now,
half a second off the full pro squad.
What's the 91 going to do? Porsche Manthey. Ooh, yeah, stays off the hatching. Watch the clock. 1:30.4 for that lap.
That's the 3rd lap for the car. That's the first flying lap for the second driver, Ricard Leitz.
Mako, the 92, did a 4-lap average of 1:30.373.
That's the only of the pro cars to have completed those 4 laps yet, though. We wait and see. The next will be the 92 car goes through, so it's a Porsche 1-2 at the moment. That's what they want. But at the moment, on the earlier average, the Aston Martins hold the advantage. So 1:30.290 as a 4-lap average of the 92 car.
Love
the
this.
sister car that we're on board with right now, that is second, with just about 3/10 back on average over the 4 laps. 92 leads 91.
I don't think the Aston 95 is going to be quicker than the 92 Porsche.
99 Aston at the moment isn't quicker. It's a slower second flying lap for Daryl O'Young. A pretty good first one, 1:30.7, but a 1:34 last time around indicates either a bit of a mistake or perhaps some traffic.
7 3/4 minutes to go. Here's the Pro Speed car down into force in the front end of that Porsche, diving down as he hammers on the brake pedal. Turns it in left-handed, trying to just balance the car through the first part of turn 4. Again, steeply downhill. Now it flattens out. Now it's starting to rise. You can use the hill to your advantage just a little bit. Back with the Aston, the 99. Coming to the finish line. Where will this lap put them on the 4-lap average? It's going to be over 130. It's a 130 and a half. As Ferraris are in the pit lane and going out. And this is the 51 car. So Jimmy Brownie presumably out of that car now. Unless something really odd's going on. Darren Turner in now, installed in the 97. Bergmeister 2 laps, 130.5, 130.5. 3 1,000ths of a second different between Jorg's 2 laps. 30.4 to 30.7 for Richard Leeds in the 91 car.
But look at the overall average times of these leading cars in GTA Pro, John. The 4-lap average for the top 4, 130.2 for the number 97 Aston Martin, which goes to provisional pole right now. The number 92 car, 130.2, but just, 500ths of a second back. Then we get to the 99, which has leapfrogged the number 91 car, 130.3. Then 130.4 for the 95 car that pops up. 98, another 130.5, and now the 91 car we're looking at right now, which is 6th quickest overall in GTE, 7,000ths of a second on average back from the 5th place AM98 Aston Martin. It's really close stuff here, John.
And Darren Turner's 2 laps, a 30.5 and a 30.5, 5:39 and 5:43. Again, consistency personified. Just look at where the Porsche is having to work. It's smooth, but there are still cambers and undulations. And if you know them and you can help them, get them to help the car, particularly either rotating the car into the corner or holding them in. There's one particular spot coming down, if I count backwards, 15, 14, 12, 11. It's between 9 and 10. Between 10 and 11, rather. When you come out at 10, and you actually have to crest the crown of the road. It's a really, really interesting part of the track, and it massively unsettles the car just when you want to get the car turned in. So here's the 97 with those flexible photovoltaic panels on the roof. Oh, no. Coming through. Looks tidy. Just watch here. As it turns in, right there, across the crown of the road there. That's down into 11 and out through 12 and 13, close together, and then 14 and 15 are the two left-handers climbing the hill past the pits.
Now, lasso around for the closest Porsche to the Aston Martin was a slower lap, but remember what we heard on the team radio, John. You could do a cool-down lap and go again.
97's average is provisional pole on a 130.1, and Darren Turner did a 130.163 there. So he found nearly half a second, 0.4 of a second. And he's got time to stay out. We're still just on 4 minutes to go. So how many laps will they put on their tyres? Well, actually, I don't think that's an issue here, Graham. No. As the Proton car is very slow there, but keeping away and letting the Ferraris go, the Pro Speed car rather, letting the... oh, no! Now, that is not disastrous for the 71. I wonder if concentration was just taken by passing the... Oh, no, he was. So I thought he was just letting the Porsches go by. It wasn't the case. There is an issue for Emmanuel Collard in the Pro Speed car.
That car 8th quickest overall in the order at the moment. And Manu has completed 2 flying laps. There is a yellow flag though now.
Makes nobody get through. Let's just have a look at the 71 again. Yeah, just went right wide. I think he might have just been offline a little bit, avoiding Manu Collard, who was coming out of turn 10 on his way to 11 with a bit of an issue.
Looking to restart the car there while we're waiting for that to happen. The 97 car is in pit lane, the provisional pole sitter. With that advantage, yellow flags being shown, and clearly Manu unable to get that car moving again.
2.5 minutes, and this is going to frustrate people. Now, down in the Aston Martin pit is Darren Turner talking to his teammate. Let's have a listen. Hear what he's saying now. Nothing of any import then for us.
There'll be 2 men who'll be quite happy with this as the 2 factory Porsches make their way down the pit.
Red flag. Red flag has come out with 2:37 to go. Now, that will stop the clock, Graham. That will stop the clock. And that will be one more lap.
For anybody that chooses to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lap for anybody who wants to do it.
Well, we'll keep an eye out as the Aston Martin guys are clearly happy with their efforts. Driver walking away from both the Porsches, John.
Tyres can be cooled and pressures adjusted. Porsche need this pole position and the point that goes with it. There's one in Collard, stayed in the 75 Pro Speed Porsche, very pretty livery, and of course much beloved of Daily Sports Car editor Graham Goodwin to my right.
We like orange.
So Michelin tyre engineer talking to the Aston guys. The team in the background. The Porsche has been abandonné in the pit lane. Now the drivers might just go out, Graham, to have a chat, because this is not, you know, it's not going back green anytime shortly.
I think it will be, because they were just pushing that the Porsche, the Pro Speed car, behind the wall. I think they're done, John.
Well, do Ferrari go out and have a pop at it then? And have they got anything left?
Well, they're way down. They're way down the order at the moment. The Pro Ferraris, the number 7 car, the 71 car rather, is behind both of the GTR Aston Martins, and the 50 car, looking for it, has not completed 4 flying laps yet.
Yeah.
Information to the pit wall. Session will start on a short call. Session will start on a short call.
Lou, this is for you very quickly.
Of,
You're coming through to us on
Talkback
Talkback from the OB van, as well as on your own Talkback. So can you mention that?
The 51 Ferrari, I think that was, heading back down. In fact, both Pro Ferraris heading down.
All of the Ferraris are out there. Now, what you might get here is a bit of no toe, no front row. I wonder if there's a bit of tactics going on here, trying to catapult one of those Ferraris. They've got time to make up, but if you could see, look at that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prancing horses heading out.
And nobody else.
And this is it. It's now or never. 2.5 minutes to go. They can get round and start another flying lap. 20 wheels and 40 cylinders of Ferrari power head back out onto the Interlagos circuit. Now this has got to be managed properly here, Graham, because one of the cars, it's obvious that, you know, the guys at the front of the field are the ones more likely to bounce themselves up, but that 50 car needs to do a lap.
Well.
This is, well, it's like a Ferrari Cup race. Who's hanging right off the back? It's the 51 car that's right off the back.
It's a 3-lap average, of course, for the 51 car at the moment, 130.919. They've got pole position. All the way to catch up.
They've got to do a 29, mid-29, haven't they?
They have. That's a big ask.
It's Villander, Rigon, Rugolo. And the Ferrari pilots, 3 of the 5 at least out there at the moment. Look at the clock, it will only be the one flying lap. You're allowed to keep the one that you're on when the checkered flag comes out. So they've got plenty of time to get round and start it. Jimmy Bruni is anxious as anyone else. It's Jeff Siegel and Matteo Cressoni, the other 2 drivers out there. And it is on. Porsche and 4 Astons all sitting redundant now in the pit lane. Unloved, those cars. They'll not be getting any more work. And now it's down to, I think, this 51 car. It's the one that's got the best of the 3-lap averages, isn't it, Graham? So, well, Orney's done a very quick first sector for the car, and he's there or thereabouts.
Don't forget the 71 car here, John, because it's manufacturer points that matter. They're closer. They're got a 4-lap average of 130.5. They are the car that can attack.
So that means they're going to drop a lap, whereas the 51 car is going to only get the lap that they're on. And this is where this form of qualifying really works. It's not being the fastest, it's bettering your own worst time, and by how much?
So 130.6 they need to beat in the 71.
That's doable.
but it's really a matter of how far up.
He's got to get down into the 29s. They've all got to get into the 29s, and I'm not sure the Ferrari's got that under them today. And straight away, 7/10 of a difference, and that is absolute for the 51 because they haven't completed their 4 laps. The 71, it's a little bit different. Also, the 88 as well. They've done 8 laps.
Checker flag is out.
Yeah, and this will be it. So as you see the times come round, 1:29.858, the best of the sesh. 1:30.8 for the Bruni car. What about the 71? He'll come through any second now as well. 1:30.078 then for the 81. That's their 4-lap average. Jimmy Bruni looking at the time, it's not enough. It's not enough to start that position. On board with Jimmy's teammate, Tony Wielander. Well, they had a crack at it, Graham. I wonder if another lap might have made a difference. Not sure though, if I'm honest.
I don't think, not enough. They didn't really look to have the edge. They've not looked to have the edge all weekend, John. We've had Ferraris in amongst the leading 4 cars, but certainly not touched to one of the Aston Martins and to a lesser extent the Porsches overall. So it's another Aston Martin double pole position for the 97 car in LMGT Pro.
3rd in a row for them.
And the number 98 car takes it this time with some great stuff from Christopher Nygaard at the end of that session. 4th quickest overall. So it's Aston Martin from Porsche, Aston Martin, Aston Martin, Aston Martin.
Yes. 3rd in a row for Stefan Mucke and Darren Turner. And amazing that up until that first of the 3, they hadn't had a pole position all season, and they've nailed the last 3 of the year.
Absolutely, and the top 7 cars, all 3 of the makes actually represented. And
So the GTs then, there it's Aston 97 from 92 and 99. Jot that down, Graham, I might need that later. 99, 92, 97. 3rd, 2nd.
Ready for interview with Darren Turner, driver of 97 Aston Martin, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Darren, another great qualifying from you.
Well, it was a great one for the team. Stefan did an amazing first couple of laps. That really helped. My 3 laps, the first 2 weren't particularly good. Just couldn't get the tyres to come back in after the pit stop. But the 3rd lap, the tyres were starting to come, and yeah, we managed to put in that 30.1, which was enough to give us a good average. The in lap was looking a little bit better, but the team were quite happy that at that point there was probably not going to be the sort of a lap from someone else at that point that's going to affect us. So yeah, great for the 97 guy. I'm really pleased with the guys, and you know, let's see if we can keep the car together in turn 1. Stefan's starting tomorrow, so I can relax for the first stint. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Popped up rather unexpectedly there with Darren Turner. Right, let's talk about prototypes. Toyota, they've been the guys to beat in terms of their race results. They've had a battle at the hands with Porsche in qualifying though, Graham. They don't have the advantage of a turbocharged engine here, and it has been hurting them.
It has been hurting them, and the team that seems to have taken most advantage is Audi, who've been shooting rather up the order of late. They certainly seem to be liking the grip, they certainly seem to be liking the altitude rather better than Toyota do. Bit of a recovery in form for the Toyotas in free practice 3, but by far the quickest of the lot so far is the game in the Porsches. Lap record breaking pace from both Porsches, and in particular in free practice 3 rather, John, the 60 minutes we saw this morning, which was again, that is Neil Jarni again, the class of the field there, 117.5. Mark Webber in the other Porsche, the only other man under 118 for the weekend so far. We look there at the number 20 car under the lights in the pit garage, and one of those extraordinary LMP1 steering wheels now. We were hearing a comparison earlier in the weekend between the old Audi R8 with 4 buttons and enough there to run a whole home entertainment system for Anthony Davidson, but he won't be champion about that now. Indeed, Anthony and Sebastian Buemi both need to start this race to be confirmed as joint champions.
Yeah, I think if Fab was to be pushed down the stairs by Sebastian, I think the car would probably not take the start of the race, if I'm honest. I spoke to Anthony for our Toyota Tech Talks feature on Radio Le Mans on Sunday before the countdown to green. There's Tom Christensen. Got together to go out this morning and do a little bit of a lap of honour before everyone else came out for FP3.
And he did indeed. It also confirms that we will see Tom Christensen in qualifying for this, his last race for Audi Sport.
Just finish off the thought about Anthony Davidson. He was saying that Sebastian had said to him, if anything happens here, don't worry, I won't take the car out. And Anthony said, I didn't know whether to be happy or look over my shoulder about that, because he'd obviously thought about it. So it was funny. Thanks, Tom, on the back of Mr. Le Mans.
And also a highly unusual standing ovation in the driver's briefing for Tom, something he was very emotional indeed about. And I hear that Eduardo Freitas said afterwards, that's why I love sports car racing, because you guys fight like maniacs out on the track, but when we're here, we're out of the cars, we're all friends.
It's interesting as well, Anthony Davidson saying to me, obviously he works in Formula 1 for TV back in the UK, how many people came and congratulated him, and whilst we were doing our interview, in fact when we'd finished doing the interview actually, there must have been at least half a dozen personnel, none of whom were wearing a Toyota shirt, who came and patted him on the back and said, well done. You know, it is quite remarkable, the sense of camaraderie in the paddock. There's the Porsche 919 just rolling out. Thank you everyone, says Tom K.
And that's been his message throughout the weekend. Very emotional weekend. You can see there's almost barely controlled emotion at times from Tom. But and there we have the high levels of concentration involved as they prepare for what is an incredibly intense experience. These the laps of qualifying where they've got to squeeze every single thousandth out of the package.
It's Ben Trelliway and Marcel Fessler, by the way, who'll do the work for Audi Sport Team Yost. I know that only because I walked in with Andre Lotterer this morning and said, you qualifying today? He says, nah, I've done the last few. Time to let the other lads do it.
Absolutely.
And there is the number two car of which we spoke. Tom Christensen, Lloyd Duval, Lucas Di Grassi, and amazing in such a short time that one of the most consistent and settled sports car teams in history, certainly in recent history, that of Dindo Capello, Alan McNish and Tom Christensen, will all be ambassadorial roles only for those great drivers.
And another important change, of course, at Audi Sport for the number 2 car this weekend is that we're not going to see their regular race engineer on the pit wall, John.
No, Justin Taylor, who's been a number 2 for quite some time, worked under both Houghton Haynes and Lena Kane. In fact, Houghton Haynes brought him into Audi Sport a few years ago. He is replacing someone else that Houghton Haynes brought in Audi Sport, Kyle Wilson-Clark, who is off to pastures new and will be wearing a different set of overalls next year.
We'll be wearing a Porsche set of overalls next year. 1 minute we're here until the track goes green for LMP qualifying. Don't miss out either, we're just going aboard with Nicola Manassian now. There is going to be an absolute battle royal in the LMP2 stakes as the green flag goes out.
Nick Manassian, of course, who won that 1,000-mile race in a Peugeot back in 2007. And he's excited about the potential for P2 next year, as I think we all are. But we've got this 6 hours to finish off the 2014 FIA WEC season. There are the champions-elect.
And they're being held. They're just going to wait for a little bit of further. We've seen this before, haven't we? And just while we look at that car, we'll tell you that I hope during the race coverage tomorrow, John, we can bring some news of an expected exciting addition to the LMP2 grid for next year.
We should also mention as well that despite us having news from his IndyCar team that they're looking for someone to replace Mike Conway because Toyota have exercised their option on him, Mike is being very tight-lipped about next year. I can't imagine he's going anywhere else though, but certainly the Ed Carpenter organisation are actively looking for a driver to replace Mike. Good news for the Englishman if he is confirmed there at Toyota, as we expect he will be. So here's the Audi. Expect them to double stint their tyres. By the way, some of the P2 cars we think might treble stint the tyres during the race tomorrow. Dunlops have been remarkably resilient, and this track is grippy but has very low degradation qualifications. Took us to Grassy there, giving us a little wave. Happy to be racing in his home country. And still Anthony Davidson and the 7 car of Alex Wurz. Now who have they put in that to start with? You can see that. Wolfgang Ulrich, Dr. Ulrich, who has been such a driving force behind everything that Audi have done in motor racing in the last 20 odd years, isn't it now?
Confirmed a commitment to Audi back for a further season in the WEC, but perhaps tellingly we've got no commitment to anything beyond that right now.
I don't think you read too much into that. I really don't. I think for the meantime we just enjoy what's out there, and next year with potentially 11 factory cars at Le Mans and 8 for the bulk of the season. That is a prospect that actually makes me want the winter to go over even quicker. Not a winter person, if I'm honest. Right, let's start watching some of these fast laps. These cars are so spectacular around here. On board with the number 20 Porsche 919 hybrid, coming across the start-finish line and down towards turn 1. Get yourself set up, settle yourself down, breathe out, hit your mark, turn in, and then start getting yourself into the rhythm of the lap straight away. It's a really tough start to the lap here at Interlagos. On board with the 14 now, just clipping that curve on the right-hand side to set you up for the left-hander. All flat through here, of course, as it was the GT cars. Down towards turn number 4. Deal with the traffic as quickly as you can. Get back onto the racing line before you brake hard to turn left and drop downhill at turn 4.
Mark Lead there suited up, and Romain Dumas swapping some notes as the guys listen in. As they can now, they can listen live while suited and booted to whoever's aboard the Porsche. Now we have the World Champion Select out on circuit. And going very quickly indeed. 21 minutes remain of the session, and we're going to start to get some really meaningful times in any moment now. No lack of commitment for any of these guys, none whatsoever.
Let's run you through some of the drivers. TK in 1 we know, it's Webber in 20, Gianni in 14, Beliki in Rebellion 13, Pierre Caffer in the 9, Imperatori in the 47, Heidfeld in the 12, Davidson in the 8, Manassi in the 27, Kirilladigin in the 31, and that's how they start.
Fastest lap overall. I'm afraid we've lost pictures briefly here, but it's into the 117s. It's Neil Gianni, who's been the quickest man this weekend so far. 117.8 is the number 14 car, but it's the Audi Sport cars that are actually putting in the 2-lap averages at the moment. 118 and 119 on average for the 2 from the 1. So Marcel Fesler at the moment ahead of Tom Christensen. We're waiting for Neil Gianni, and what he's doing is what we've seen before from the Porsches. One very quick lap, one much slower lap, and then go again. So 1:17.8 the quickest lap. It's a full 0.8 of a second faster than the best we've seen so far from either of the Audis. On average at the moment, lead the Porsche. We wait to see what we'll get from Toyota. What we get is the quickest 2-lap average of the session so far. And that comes courtesy of a 117.9 followed by 118 dead from Anthony Davidson. 117.9 is their 2-lap average as the number 2 Audi has pitted. Both Audis on pit lane. To complete his second proper flying lap. He's having that cool-down lap that we've seen the team employ before to squeeze the very best out of the package. And he goes back to the top, the number 14 car, with a second lap in the 117. So it's a 117.523. That is a lap record. Officially, I think we can say now, John, can't we, in qualifying and the race?
Yeah. For
LMP. So 117.523 gives a 2-lap average of 117.680, 3/10 of a second up on the number 8 Toyota. Gianni leads Davidson from now Mark Webber up into third. He's about a half a second back on the average. They're the 2 Audis. And we wait to see what the number 7 Toyota will make by way of contribution. Now Davidson has pitted. No sign of a driver change yet aboard the number 8 car. And is out of the car though. In goes Sebastian Buemi. Porsche again, number 14 car from the number 8 Toyota, the number 20 Porsche, and then the number 7 Toyota pops up in 4th position. So Porsche, Toyota, Audi right now.
No lap records in qualifying, of course. It might be a qualifying record. You only get a lap record in the race.
You did.
No. Come on, Craig. Oh, on board. And now not.
So we've seen 3 sub-118 laps so far in this session. 2 of them from the provisional pole sitter. Gianni, who is still out on track. The 3rd from Ant Davidson in the Toyota.
So we're getting people coming into the pits now. Graham, how's it stand? The time you've got there?
It stands at the moment still Porsche from Toyota, Toyota, the 2 Audis trailing at the moment. So a quick look at the P2 standings. It's the KCMG car at the moment, John, that is leading the way from the G-Drive Ligier. And then the S.p.A 37 and the 27 at the moment. Nick Benazian at the wheel is trailing. They really do want that power point for the pole position here. We saw that topsy-turvy race in Bahrain that saw the pendulum for the championship fight between the 27 car and the 26 swing one way, then the other. Then the final drama with that technical failure, we think probably accident-related for the number 27 S.p.A car, eventually leading to its retirement.
Nice bit of needle between the 2 of the Russian drivers this weekend.
I think if it's a needle, it's a very thick, very pointy one. Sergei Zlobin sharing with us that I don't think he's spoken to Roman Rusinov for a decade, and this all stems back to a deal that was done over testing for Minardi, and Sergei believing that Roman rather nicked that deal from him.
Ben Trellier, as we predicted, has come back out in the 2. Seb Buemi's in the 8, and Luca de Grassi's out in the 1. We can't tell you that.
So in P2,
look at that.
We take another look back. 47 from 26, 37 and 27.
Both of the 919s in the pit. Sorry, we can only tell you what we can see out the window at the moment. Go on, Graham.
First 3-lap average in, and it puts an Audi to the top again, of course, being the only one that's completed 3 laps. It is the number 1 car, and it's a 1-2 for the Audis, who now have both have their second drivers aboard. It's Lucas de Grassi, home race, of course, for Lucas. He pops in on 1:18.8. That's quicker than we saw from Tom Christensen in either of his first 2 laps.
Porsche?
That's an Audi.
Do you think that was an Audi? Okay.
So it's an Audi 1-2, as we wait for the 3rd flying lap to be completed by the best of the rest at the moment.
De Grassi, 1:18.8 and 1:18.9, and that was at 8:43 and a 9:20.
Ben goes through slower than de Grassi, but has completed his 4 laps, starts at the 4-lap average. We now have his sub 120, it's 1:19.292. That goes to the number 1 Audi, Lucas de Grassi. Just goes through, sorry, both the Audis have gone through. So it's the 1 from the 2, 1:19.2 to 1:19.3 is the 4-lap average for those 2 cars.
And the second drivers for the 2 919 Porsches, Mark Leib in the 14, Timo Bernard out in the 20. Thank you, Paul. Paul Truswell feeding us the information that he has from back in Woking. He'll be backing us up tomorrow with his usual wonderful predictions. Also supporting the guys on RadioLeMond.com.
Meanwhile, the pace, though, is at the moment with the number 8 car, S.p.A, putting in a 1:18.0 to follow the 1:18.0, 1:17.9 for Matt Davidson. That's looking pretty ominous. We'll have to wait and see whether or not the Toyota can sustain that pace, or whether or not Mark Leib can follow on from the excellent pair of 1:17.5s from his teammate Neil Jani. That has given at the moment the bragging rights by about half a second on average to the number 14 Porsche. It might sit 4th in the order at the moment. It is not going to stay there. On the way out now. Sees the car dip under the 1:19.9. Is that going to be enough? I don't think it is, John.
No.
1:18.9 over the 4-lap average. For Sebastian Buemi, answers the question immediately. 1/8 of a second quicker on average. 1:18.0 followed by 1:18, just shy of 1:18.4.
Remarkable. These are all times, by the way, well under that Porsche, that full house, 900 horsepower all the time. Peugeot 990,
it's a P
908. Back in 2007.
Absolutely.
Bigger tyres, more power. Mind, having said that, they used to have
less fuel.
They used to have downforce to give away on those cars.
They did indeed.
They had them set up like a barn door tilted at 45 degrees. But using something from then, probably about 35% less fuel, I would think, than they were using in those days.
At least 35%, because bear in mind, the cars that we got later in the programme for Peugeot were increasingly more efficient. Less engine power, more reliance on the aero, remember. And these beasts nowadays, John, completely different planet.
And Paul Truswell keeping us in touch with the P2. KZMG now less than a tenth ahead of G-Drive on the 2-lap average. And that's Rusinov and Imperatori, of course, who are doing the run for them. And it'll be Pla versus Bradley for the second drivers in those 2 cars. That's an interesting...
Richard Bradley's been a star all season.
No. What's interesting about that is, once again, we've seen Rusinov going in first, and Olivier Pla tends to go quicker, but not much quicker than Rusinov on the second run.
Correct. He's the only man that is able to do that on older tyres in the class.
Well, Richard Bradley might surprise us all, mightn't he? On
let's hope for a bit of a battle here. We want to see this one go absolutely to the wire.
So then, the 8 Toyota, quickest 4-lap average now down on 1:18.112.
Meantime, the first full lap average for Porsche comes through, but it includes a slower lap, that slow down lap we've seen from the number 20 car. But up into second position overall comes it's Mark Lieb backing up Neil Gianni's earlier efforts. But even that even includes, John, a slow down lap of 1:21, and he's still just 6/10 back. Car spinning out on the circuit with Lucas Auer, the Austrian Formula 3 driver.
It's the CLM.
Nephew of Gerhard Berger.
Gerhard Berger, yeah. Formula 3. Thank you, Louise, for passing that on. As you might realise, we're struggling a little bit here with no timing and scoring and no pictures in the booth. So at the moment, you're getting more than we are. So if you want, we'll shut up for a bit and you can do your own commentary. That was at turn 7 and turn 8, by the way, that incident happened.
Prudence Sepharimi stretches the advantage a little. I don't think it's going to be enough, because I think the next time we see Mark Lieb come by, if he gets a clear lap, it's going to be an awful lot quicker than 1:21.8 he did last time. And he's just got 0.7 of a second on average to make up on the Toyota. So at the moment, Porsche, Toyota, Porsche, Audi, Audi.
Some more four-lap averages coming in now, Graham. The two Porsches, 1:17.9 and
it's 1:17.8 and 1:17.9.
Yeah,
Porsche 1-2 all of a sudden. But the interesting thing here, John, is it's a 20 car that's quicker in the second part of the session, and Timo Bernhard looking to just reel in his old Porsche GT teammate, of course, Mark Lieb. Lieb putting in an 18.1 and 18.2 to Timo's 1:17.442, the quickest lap of the session so far, and that's 1:17.9.
1:17.442, I think, is the quickest of the week so far.
It is. I think it was a 1:17.5 from Neil Gianni earlier in the weekend. The gap on that four-lap average, 0.026 of a second between the two Porsches. Then it's the number 8 Toyota, and wondering what's happened to number 7 here, because it's way down. LMP2, meanwhile, it's the G-Drive car, Olivier Pla now at the wheel, and thanks to Lou for that information. 1:24.1 and 1:24.2 has put the G-Drive Ligier to the head of the four-car field by around 0.4 of a second on average over the KCMG car. Then it's the 37 S.p.A, and it's Maurizio Mediani now trying to make up that ground in the 27 car, but quite a way back. It is 1:24.4, as we said, for the 26 car. The other championship contender, meanwhile, more than a second on average astray from that. That doesn't look to me, John, to be recoverable.
I think Louise could still hear us. We can't talk back to her at the moment with any degree of confidence. Can you tell us how much time's left in the session? 5 minutes and 50 seconds. And Mark Webber has just gone back out in the 20 car, says Louise. Thank you, Louise. I have to just throw it down to her. At least she's standing in front of a screen that's got pictures.
Well, Mark's target here, John, is to beat a 1:18.347, which was, of course, his slower than the 2 laps that he put in.
Yes, yes.
So what he needs is...
go on.
He needs a proportion of that.
And Mike Conway is going out in the number 7, and he's just going out now. That's why they're so far down. They've only done a 2-lap average, so they will have dropped all the way down below everybody who's done 4 laps.
3-lap average. Mike has put in one quick lap, 1:19.4.
Ah, then he must have pitted and made some changes there. Okay.
So Porsche 1-2 at the moment, with Mark Webber looking to score the first pole position, I think it would be, for the 20 car. He's had 3 poles in the 14 this year.
Long chat with Mark earlier in the week, and it would make a great bookend to the season, wouldn't it, for Porsche to get a victory. I can make you know, I can make cases for at least half of the LMP1 field winning. You'd like to see the champions win the last race of the season and celebrate properly. They weren't on the podium, and it was the first time that they weren't on the podium this season at Bahrain, when bizarrely they were became unreachable in the championship on points. Tom Christensen, obviously, that's an obvious one, but Porsche as well. You know, it kind of would be nice.
It's a great first year as a number 14 car. The provisional pole setter comes to a halt at the pit stall for Porsche. Just a drop of fuel in there. And what is that, a data card? They're doing something on the driver's side.
Yeah, they're taking their time. Webber can improve, says Paul Truswell. He's just enjoying it massively at the moment.
1:18.347 is the mark you're looking for Webber to beat. If he beats that, John, it's so close, it's almost certain to actually take that pole position. But the 14 car is released and goes out for another crack at this.
I love the way Porsche have attacked this year. I know that they've got, 16 wins at Le Mans. Everybody expected them to come back and fight hard, but let's just rein ourselves back in, and there's no bigger Porsche file than I.
Meantime, John, we've got the number 7 cars popped up in 5th position, splits the Audis now with Mike Conway aboard.
It is their first season back, Porsche.
Absolutely.
And they're learning a new car.
We do tend to forget it.
It's because they're such a big name in...
We're talking about them obviously as competitive equals, as they clearly should be, with these two titans of modern endurance racing, Audi Sport and Toyota Racing, who've earned their colours the hard way, Toyota. But Porsche are beginning to box with them, blow for blow, and certainly in qualifying. Mark Webber goes to provisional pole position. 1:17.753 is the full-up average now, and that comes courtesy of a 1:17.8 for Mark last time around. So there you go.
He might even put a quicker one there. That's impressing. That's impressing me, rather.
So he transfers a 0.026 seconds disadvantage to his 0.057 advantage on average.
We are talking fine margins, aren't we?
It's longer than it takes for me to say.
It takes you longer to explain it than it actually is.
But the Mark Lieb is back out the number 14 car and is looked set to attack that mark again. Mark Webber, Mark Lieb, Mark, too many marks.
Mark 2 at the top of the field.
And I'm guessing he's willing it to get to a back Mark 2 on this lap, because they will want that pole position. Lots of friendly rivalry, of course, within the teams.
I think Webber's going to go for another one here. There is...
Splitting the Audis in the number 7 Toyota, but close enough to Benoit Traluet's current total that he could turn that over. So we could get to a Porsche 1-2, Toyota 3. Will it be Toyota 4? And in which case, in which order?
.118.9 average for the number 7. And
it's a 1:18.8 for the Audi ahead of him.
Oh, it's tight, isn't it?
And it's Benoit Traluet against Mike Conway at the moment.
Number 8 Toyota back in the pits, by the way. Looks like they will be done. In fact, there's no time for them to get out and go back around.
P2, by the way, is done. All 4 cars on pit lane. G-Drive will take that pole position point. That stretches the advantage in the championship to 9, John.
Yeah, 1:24.4 against 1:24.8 from the 26 G-Drive car to the 47 KCMG car.
Mark Webber stretches that advantage.
Oh, he's going to be a happy Australian, isn't he, when we talk to him in the pole position interviews later on.
1:17.5 and a 1:17.7.
And you know, after such terrible news from Australia about another one of their sporting heroes this week, that is a very, very well won pole position. Checkered flag is being waved just across to our left. In comes the 14 Porsche, and Louise is down there. I can see her down in the pits, so we'll be quiet and let her get on with her job. It's a maiden pole position for 2014 for the 20 car, and Mark Webber will bring that into the pit lane in a moment's time. Timo Bernhard down there with Louise in the Porsche pit, and here comes Mark Webber to join the 14 car. The Rebellions.